How are you doing? Elon Musk gave a warning about population decline in Japan on Twitter. I just quote his mention here. At risk of stating the obvious, unless something changes to cause the birth rate to exceed the death rate in Japan, Japan will eventually cease to exist. This will be a great loss for the world. So, observing the circumstance in Japan, this is the grim reality of unstoppable population decline. So I'm Japanese man, and there's no way I can criticize about what he tweeted as a Japanese. So not only from the aspects of effectiveness of political measures for population decline by the Japanese government, but also from the perspective of Japanese citizens, I strongly feel the people's feeling of hopelessness that makes them not want to increase any unnecessary risks on their livings by getting married with someone and giving a birth to children. So the reason why the percentage of birth rate in Japan has never increased is that majority of Japanese people are quite conservative in taking risks. So giving a birth to children is a huge risk for Japanese people in the sense that it places a great financial burden on their family budget as a matter of course. So originally, Japanese people are really conservative in risks and uncertainty. This risk and uncertainty make Japanese people uneasy and extremely hesitate to do something even important. So this is the Japanese people's iconic character. So Japanese people always need guarantee or commitment that is likely to remove the uncertainty or risks that they really worry about prior to executing it. So most of Japanese people who can't get married with someone and give a birth to children have so many problems to break through to the extent of whether or not they can make sure if they can prepare for an environment to get married with someone and give a birth to children in the current condition. So Japanese people are extremely realistic and conservative, and they will not move recklessly without thinking about consequences. So on the evidence, Japan's savings rate is quite high in the world, and Japanese people's uneasiness against the future that they can't even predict what will happen is bigger than the people in any other countries. So considering such Japanese people's characteristics, the situation where commodity price have steadily increased, although their salary hasn't increased for a long time, will strengthen the determination not to get married with anyone, and not to give a birth to children. So unless Japan gets out of the current stagnation, the day will not come when people proactively find someone to get married with and give a birth to children. So there are actually one more problem. There is one more problem accompanied with Japanese people's conservativeness, which is about a sense of value about marriage. So originally, we Japanese have a sense of value that a man needs to feed his wife and his family with his money he makes. So when a Japanese woman tries to find a man to get married with, future husband salary amounts is one of the most important decisive factors to choose a man to get married with. So the thought that a wife and a husband support each other financially by double income is really weak in our culture originally, because of the premise that a husband will have to perfectly take care of the financial situation in the house. So inevitably, women will earnestly try to look for a man who have ability to earn as much money as they can afford to have a rich marriage life and feed family and make children receive a really good education. So a man who can't make even enough money to feed family and have a good marriage life with a partner disappear from marriage fields. So in the end, a phenomenon that a man, in the end, a phenomenon that many women gather around few rich men occurs in the Japanese society. So Japanese people's sense of value has extremely changed compared to the one in the past. The people really don't want to lower their living standard, and no woman can tolerate surviving really hard life with a partner by supporting each other. So statistically, the percentage of women who prioritize partner's financial situation rather than the feeling of love is almost 70%. So how is it possible to make people feel like getting married with someone in the situation where commodity price has increased and the wage increase rate has stagnated or reduced for a long time, although the woman don't want to compromise the marriage condition to men? So observing the current situation, observing current people's sense of value, population decline is sure thing. It is no wonder Japan will sink someday. To be honest, I have never counted on politics of Japan.